Hey everybody, this is Rydo and we're back to LEGO DC Supervillains. I exited out of the game, so it sounds a little different in the audio, but I guess not. So we're in Metropolis, and I don't think it makes a lot of sense to just like run back and do this one potential boss battle for Smallville, and we haven't revealed anything from Metropolis as far as a potential another action. So what I think I want to do is let's just set a map point here, and then we'll switch, I guess, to Wonder Woman. Can she fly? Yes, she can. And we will just fly towards the Arkham Asylum area and check that out. Progress is pretty slow, and the fact that you can fly around and you still have to go through these tunnels, I think probably highlights that they are using these tunnels as a way of unloading the main central area and then loading this area to save some RAM. Honestly, I would heavily question whether... Now, which way would this go? Does this potentially connect to something else? Or what? This feels like this would take you to the amusement mile area down here. So the tunnels seem to be connected. Yeah, if there wasn't such a large push with large open worlds in games, if that hadn't become just like the default selling point for probably over a decade in the 2000s, 2010s era, I would say, even the 2020s and even now, which I guess includes the 2020s, since I'm recording this in 2023, had there not been such a big push for large areas, then most consoles and PCs would probably not need anywhere as much RAM, as far as just computer RAM, what you might call level 4 RAM, I guess, on a computer. That's a weird term potentially to coin though, so forget that. But on top of that, if we didn't have such large open areas, you wouldn't need as much video RAM in your video card. So we've effectively doubled the amount of RAM you kind of need. So a good 16 to 32 gigabytes in video RAM if you can afford it, and 32 to 64 gigabytes of moderately fast computer RAM is kind of ideal for AAA games, or even a game like this. Now, some of that has been improved a little bit because they've gotten better about loading things in and off disks as far as level and map data, but not particularly much better as far as textures and shaders. And if anything, they've added a ton of new lighting effects that require even more shaders and even more RAM to be used. Does this have anything to do with LEGO games? No.
I froze the Talons,
this is
a highly trained group of secret assassins, and placed them in cold storage so that they would stay fresh beyond their best buy date.
So this is a Court of Owls character, I guess. It said Mr. Defrosty. It kind of looks like a Mr. Freeze character, and it's a little surprising we haven't seen a Mr. Freeze character amongst all the other Gotham bad guys. I don't think this is Mr. Freeze, though.
Unfortunately, I'm not Mr. Defrost, so I need your help to thaw them out. Make sure you wrap up. It's chilly outside. Now come, this way.
So this is a Mr. Freeze, and that's a unique outfit for Mr. Freeze, leaning heavily into the Court of Owls and their talons, which are really the only bad guys. He's near immortal.
Where the trail goes cold. Someone seems to have changed my password on this door.
So the talons are supposed to be near immortal fighters for the Court of Owls, where the Court of Owls is just a bunch of rich, influential people. What's interesting here too is that it suggested Batman, I suspect because I was playing as a hero before. So they've seemingly programmed it that there is a good guy and a bad guy for every puzzle, and depending on what character you're playing as, whether they're a good guy, determines which.
Overnight before use. We don't have time for that. Perhaps you can reverse the polarity of that machine over there.
Yeah, I'm not really seeing much through the glass here. Looks kind of like just like ninja characters. Remember, we have the destruction ability.
Looks like live wires back on the air.
Of course, they didn't just suggest a live wire, who is a bad guy. So that didn't last very long.
Look at them. There's absolute zero chance I could put them to work like this. Maybe I ought to microwave them for a few seconds. It was most cool of you to help me. When they're functioning properly, I promise not to put you on any of their lists.
What do we have here? I bet I'll get a lot of ratings if I do a show with this on it.
Yeah, and the lighting is just awful. So they've just made the talons ninjas in darkness, and the lighting here is just awful. Let's switch to Scarecrow and see if maybe we could get some better lighting.
Nothing to fear but fear itself. And me.
I guess the answer is no. Scarecrow won't bring out his lighting ability. So that's not really what the talons look like in the comics. So I have to just assume that they hadn't finalized a image, or they didn't want to spoil an image of what the talons were with this game.
You should be.
Runaway Roundup. So I just hit this character and that counted as something? And just random garbage. Let's see. We have a motorcycle race. Let's go ahead and spawn it. Do we even have a motorcycle, or would we have to purchase one? Let's see if we can actually start the race. With that, I guess the answer to that is no. So we'll just spend 25,000 to take the bat cycle, which that seems way too big. So that wasn't right either. That's gonna leave me just with the Dodgem car, potentially being the right vehicle. And I guess what this means is that there's a vehicle you have to unlock to do this race first. But even looking at the silhouettes here, none of those look like a motorcycle. So I'm wondering if maybe I just need to go find a motorcycle in the overworld and steal it. The fact that you can spawn in things, I think, also highlights how you can potentially run into trouble just spawning in a ton of stuff. Okay. Let's find a more interesting character to play as than Scarecrow, since he's making all kinds of noises. And then we'll just, I guess, continue to run around this area. What's interesting about that, we did that whole Mr. Freeze quest, and I don't think it gave us a gold brick. Shouldn't we have gotten a gold brick? Every other action we've done has led to us getting a gold brick. It makes no sense that you would take an action or make an action and it wouldn't reward you at all. So there's spiders on rocks around here. They don't seem to be towards any kind of challenge or anything. Maybe they were going to be a challenge. Now, hitting that character seemingly did nothing. Breaking that owl. I guess we'll jump down here and just investigate if there's more owls or anything of importance down here. I would say this probably highlights major problems with going dark in a kid's game in particular, but just in a game in general. That unless your game is actually a horror game, I think I would just prefer that everything be a lot more colorful and cartoony, particularly in a kid's game.
Who goes there? Oh, sorry. For a second I thought you were trying to sneak up on me. I'm the Green Arrow. Nice to meet you. I'm looking for new recruits to join my team. You don't happen to have any skills with a bow, do you? I've got a feeling you could make an excellent addition to the crew.
So this is how we're going to unlock the Green Arrow.
All right. No time to waste. Equip yourself with a bow and arrow and show me what you got.
Alright, so then we'll play as a Green Arrow competitor.
Today I feel like getting straight to the point.
Alright. Alright. So if I just hit X, I'm not destroying anything, even though it looks like I'm hitting things.
Who goes there? Oh, I'm looking for new recruits.
If I target something, I seem to miss there. Ah, I see what I'm supposed to do. I'm supposed to use this thing to score
I'm beginning to question your ethics. Take it easy.
a bunch of points. And I guess I'm supposed to be hitting the light blue.
Color me impressed. That was an exceptional display of bow and arrow skills. I do have some bad news, though. While you were participating in my little challenge here, I received word that we've already filled our last spot on the team. But hey, you still did great. Feel free to call on me whenever you need assistance.
Oh, I'll be taking this.
So I guess we unlocked Mr. Freeze as a character. So this doesn't really feel like a bow and arrow section. And they didn't really explain that you're supposed to avoid the red ones, which I think is the case. And while you can continue to play it, it's not really doing anything for you to shoot these. Again, it's just really dark. So the red ones are ladies, and then the white ones are bad guys. It'd be nice if it was much closer to 50-50 that the bad guys were actually girls and the is that something up there? No, I guess it isn't. The good guys were actually the boys. Instead, there's a lot of default
Please don't run away. I could really use some help.
there's a lot of defaulting to the thug being a male. And here we're in a creepy cemetery made of Lego, which that's not something you're going to be able to do a lot with. So we'll use our Riddler ability.
It looks like, but I'm not a ghost. I found some treasure over there, and it seems to have cursed me. Could you do me a favor and help me out of here? I can definitely reward you for your help. Please? This is the last time I trust a giant red monster with antlers for advice. I know I said it last time when I turned into a newt, but this really is the last straw.
I have no idea who this character is supposed to be. It says rest in pieces and gone fishing.
I'm totally gonna turn my life around. From this day forth, I'm only gonna steal, find stuff in regular places. Here, you can take your chance with this, but, I'd be careful if I were you. See you around.
So I wonder if all of the characters' voice acting has always just been random, with just like random lip movements. Well, that's an idea certainly, but it feels like that was the origin to some secondary character in DC Universe, and I couldn't for the life of me tell you who. And I really couldn't even tell you where we are. It does really seem like there's just a gold brick somewhere over there that I was supposed to collect. Looks like we're going to Banshee next, I think is that character.
It must be nearby.
What you would expect is for Swamp Thing and some of the lesser connected DC characters that I don't believe were originally owned by DC to play a role in this area. Although Swamp Thing would also make a lot of sense to be in the swamp.
I've
This
heard
is more of
whispers
the
from the creatures.
like Justice
They
League
say
Dark
that there
type
may be an
enemies, and
ancient book of arcane knowledge around here.
as
One
far
that
as Banshee.
previously belonged to my father, and will soon be returned to his collection. I need you to seek out anyone who may possess knowledge on the whereabouts of such a book. I shall remain here, listening to the whispers. Return once you learn where the book is. Good! Don't come back until you have something for me.
Okay. So now we are talking to people. Which gives us more of an excuse to potentially run around. Like, where are we even? Going to some kind of underground area. Oh, this is giant. Still trying to get to 250 million studs to get the score times 10 multiplier, and then at that point it really isn't going to matter. This all says Arkham on the boxes. This could be the laboratory of, like, the founder of Arkham Asylum. But at the moment there's nothing here. Clearly there's going to be a storyline instance in which we enter this area and there will be something there. Yeah, that was Arkham Manor. Okay. I don't know why I'm trying to jump here. Let's just fly.
Finally, 10th Atom has come back to rule over you all.
Not to sound like the Riddler, but what do you call a challenge that's not really a challenge? Because that's exactly what that wall was. And I think that highlights a major problem with LEGO games once you add flying as an ability, is that all of a sudden you've just given a cheat sheet to every player and told the player it's not important for you to develop massive parkouring skills. Whereas you could kind of easily make the LEGO games a parkour game if you wanted to. Just by having the characters stay on the ground and using the walls like you normally would in a video game to indicate an actual location where you can't cross, or you at least can't cross in that area. Okay. I have no idea what I'm supposed to take from that, and I don't know what that was and why that item in particular should have caused the police to
More bad guys
be upset with
incoming.
me. There we found another runaway escapee. This feels like another area where there should be a door to towards the inside of Arkham Manor. It's kind of a catch-22 in that the Arkham Asylum games succeeded pretty well. This is a recycling thing.
Perhaps this is another clue.
There, we've unlocked a Green Lantern lady and Jessica Cruz. I couldn't tell you anything about that character, though. Green Lantern stories constantly have this problem of introducing more Green Lanterns, but then defaulting back to, I think Hal Jordan is his name, as being the coolest, most important Green Lantern. Oh. Okay. And so it creates a situation in Green Lantern stories where everything is just about Hal Jordan. If you can even go half a year not talking about Hal Jordan, you're good. But he always comes back either as an important hero or a important villain. That got me close enough so that I could go in circles to scan this. And I guess I would have been investigating this with the flowers and walking amongst the flowers if I hadn't turned on demolition mode and just broken all the flowers. Kind of obviously though, there's like another gold brick here. I don't know how to hit it. We've got one here, we've got one here. We know we need somebody like Deadshot.
Time to get to work.
Okay, I've got it. You break this. Maybe it would have just been better to have the platform there in the first place. So that was one side. And then you hit the other side to flood it even more. Although it doesn't really feel like the shot went in between the bars there.
That big Waller gave me is not gonna go off if I take this, right?
Yeah, I feel like these kinds of gimmicks would have worked a lot better if there was 2 to even 4 different things to shoot in one spot. So you get 4 collectibles instead of 1 for doing more simple singular shots. Having to do 2 shots in particular to unlock a single gold brick, I don't really agree with. That seems like a little too much work. Alright. Let's go ahead and seek out this gold brick. This is a very, I don't know if you would call it enclosed area, but it feels narrow-ish.
Where'd he go? He's supposed to be driving us now!
And so these driver missions too, we're gonna have to run around the whole world looking for the driver missions.
I don't suppose you could give me a hand with this bag of bolts? I think I could have a guess at the machine, but we need power before we do anything. I see some cables there. Maybe there's something up on the roof that could help out?
See, I have no idea where this character is that's even talking. It would make a lot of sense to have the camera just jump in front of her.
I have no idea why Victor left this for me. I barely knew him. He was only my second uncle twice removed after all. Perhaps it's because I mentioned I had my doctorate, but it's of the arts, not this.
So she's like down here talking to you, and there's basically no way you would have been able to.
I can't use this. Guess everyone's got their limits.
like no way you would have been able to see this character. So they might as well have just shown this, or waited until we were within at least this circular sphere of influence. You can see there's a lot of stuff that can't be broken here. Yeah, there's a Frankenstein character that again I'm not sure is a actual original DC character. Frankenstein, obviously, being not copyrighted, both Marvel and DC could have a Frankenstein character. And honestly, if it's, as long as it's not too close to, say, a Universal monster character that might have some specific feature or character additions added to them from the Universal monster movies, which even those should probably be public domain by now, but very well may not be. You could do the Mummy, you could do the Invisible Man, but I think they mostly just have a Frankenstein character, and the Frankenstein character in DC I think is pretty far away from what you would expect Frankenstein's monster to look like. Yeah, it's Frankenstein's monster, it's not the actual Dr. Frankenstein. Well, that did something. I don't know what. It lowered the gem. Interesting. Which then split the beam.
Well, we've got power now, but I don't know. Maybe those green things are like those beeping machines in hospitals?
Like an EKG?
Yeah, maybe I should have paid a bit more attention in computer class. But who could have known computers would be so useful in the future? Any ideas?
So, we have minifig head, bomb, and skeleton. We have a square, an omega, and an alpha. It seems to me like you can only really pull the alpha first. Oh, no, it changes, and then it also glitched the little icon there. Okay. Good news is I know what I'm doing now. Bad news is it's glitching quite a bit here. And this is a new launch. Frankenstein's monster, really just a character they try to use to look cool. Obviously there are also vampire, or things like vampires and demons and all the other kinds of more classical monster characters.
Probably tell someone about that, right? This is the last time I do some bizarre task just because a distant relative asked me to.
What's funny is, it seems to me like we could start another quest and it might be worth it to do it and end the one we're on, but then you really could get very ADHD about jumping around from one quest to the other. There was a Frankenstein movie that they made several years ago that doesn't look like there's anything here, but let's switch to a flying character anyways, where it was Frankenstein was barely even the focus of the main story, and he just happened to be slightly involved with a group of angels and such. Angels fighting demons or something like that. Yeah. And I guess there's probably runaway roundup. We found another runaway.
How much longer must I remain trapped in here?
So we have some other characters. Let's talk to him.
Hello? Hello? Please, I am in need of your help. I have been trapped in this black diamond for far too long, and I must stop whoever did this from trapping other people. If you help me, I'll give you anything you wish for. Fame, recognition, money. Please, friend, won't you assist me in my time of need?
Again, I have no idea who this character is. I would suspect maybe Puck.
Maybe there is something nearby that can help us.
A character named Eclipso. Yeah, I don't even recognize that name. Okay. Charge this up. Then use this to beam that.
I do long to get out of this prison and stretch my legs.
Well, that seems like that's working. Apparently not.
What a wonderful construct.
Yeah, just like two ideas there, when there really should have just been one. Yeah. Twice as many collectibles, twice as many challenges, half as difficult.
Finally, I'm free. This world now belongs to Eclipso. You have no idea what you've just unleashed on this earth. Until we meet again, foolish mortal.
I honestly don't feel like it's really even a bad thing that I don't recognize this character, because this really would be
this has hidden magical properties.
The least popular, in my opinion, of the DC characters in the Justice League Dark collection of characters that really are just crammed into the more traditional Batman, Flash, Superman type stories. And in the whole visuals, you can see even here, it's a very different experience as far as the way they want to animate things.
Plan how to escape once I'm inside is not the best breakout plan. To those people I asked, where were you before I bought the bike?
So here's a motorcycle.
Oh, isn't that wonderful? You fixed the ramp. Such a shame that the bike is so beyond repair, though. Flat tires, drained battery, we'll never get that working.
There's another person hiding. And we're hitting all these owls, but I think they're just like the spiders. Okay. We've charged the battery, but we would need to find tires. Which required breaking off the rims.
You know, I think I'm too hungry to make this jump. Yeah, you can't jump on an empty stomach. It's dangerous, you know? I might hurt myself. Maybe you could do a test jump. Make sure everything is running smoothly with the bike and that the ramp is nice and solid.
Okay.
Whoa! You're actually gonna do it? That's Whoa! Well, I hope you land in the right place. Oh, and if you see Davy, tell him I said hello, and I'll definitely get him out of there soon. Definitely.
I have no idea who this character is. And interesting, that's just an automated jump, which that's fine. They really could have just done that at any time. What's weird though is that that didn't end up unlocking a motorcycle for me, which I kind of would have expected it to. You almost certainly don't want to do this race until you've collected everything else out of Arkham Asylum. Yeah, this is probably going to sound kind of mean, but one of the reasons why I don't think these dark stories work is that I feel like a dark story is first and foremost trying to focus a little bit more on the story than your average Marvel or DC comic book, because Marvel and DC comics have just been going on forever, and let's face it, they ran out of steam decades ago. There can't be new ideas. Everything's been done, everything's been tried. The writers and animators in Marvel and DC grew up for the most part reading Marvel and DC, so it has become an almost 100% closed loop of ideas and ways of thinking. There is no such thing as a Marvel or DC writer who is avant-garde or looking to break the norms, and even if a single creator did try to do that, they would just get stopped by editorial staff who have to keep everything within what they believe is the safest regions and the thing that will sell them as much as they think they can possibly sell, which is not a very high number in the first place. Like, comic books, well, once one of the major forms of entertainment for kids and young adults, have now been boiled down to not even in the top 10, I would say, of forms of entertainment for kids. So, because of that, I guess the guy's name was Stunt Rider. Now catch my next big jump. Next week I'm going to jump from Metropolis to Gotham using the bridge. Interesting. So we'll probably run into that guy again. So when you want to write a Constantine story with the general beginning conceit of Constantine being that him and a bunch of friends were playing around with dark magic and got a little girl's soul stolen by the devil, I mean, that's a very dark story. That's not something that really fits into the cartoony Batman the Animated Series depictions, although even in that comparison that's pretty bad, because Batman the Animated Series I think was probably a little bit more mature and dark than you would have seen even in comic books at that same time. Interesting. So that switch apparently wrapped around, which means there's one more switch here. Kind of easy to miss. But yeah, for Constantine to work with its dark conceit and devils and demons, it is a lot better to have that in its own separate universe than potentially introduce the Constantine universe to the DC universe of Flash and Superman. Arguably, even Batman as a hero is dangerously close to an anti-hero more than a true hero, and kind of dark in a lot of his different depictions, depending on which version of Batman you're talking about and which medium he's being depicted in. You do often hear of contrivances having to be made to explain why somebody like the Flash, who can run around the world super fast, or Superman, who is super powerful. It wouldn't just be your default hero to call as soon as any enemy tries to do anything dangerous. And even like Swamp Thing being in the same universe as Constantine feels weird. One crossover that I did kind of like was introducing the idea that Animal Man, a character I had never even heard of before, was in control of a power source called the Red that allowed him to control animals, and the Red was a direct like comparison to the Green, which is what Swamp Thing has to control all plants. And then they introduced a character that could control dead things and create zombies, although I don't know if they actually confirmed there being a power source around that. But that wasn't really the original story for Animal Man or Swamp Thing. It was just a decent New 52 story during the New 52 DC Universe reboot, which really does not matter at all now and has pretty much just been ignored and undone. But it's probably not a coincidence that the New 52 reboot, the most interesting stories that I'm mentioning here are from the less anchored down in canon characters like Constantine and Swamp Thing and Animal Man. Whereas the New 52 reboots of Batman and Green Lantern and The Flash and Superman, not sure any of those really mattered too much to me when I read them. I specifically tried to read almost every single New 52 reboot series, thinking stupidly that that would be a new starting point for DC and that they would stick with it. And there was somewhere between 6 and a dozen Batman comics that were in parallel telling different Batman stories, and yeah, I now can't really remember any of them. There's a golden graffiti changing a statue. Although that didn't really feel like a statue to me. Visually, it didn't look like one. Interesting that there are these little platforms here. It kind of felt like they would fall down when you stepped on them, but they didn't. Maybe there's going to be a race around that. Play as a character that doesn't fly. Problem with this though is we kind of don't need to play as Superboy because he'll be a character that's too short. Yeah. My suspicion is we're going to have a speedster character run around the outside of Arkham Asylum here.
Hey you! Give me a hand over here. I'm getting out of here tonight, but I've hit a bit of a problem. Joker got me these bouncy shoes, but they're nowhere near as bouncy as he said. I mean, I can't just jump up there on my own. You think you can help me out?
And I guess at this point I really don't have
will be no challenge for the Prince of Puzzlers.
Really don't have too much to say about this game. Like, we're doing fine. This guy does not feel like he really has bouncy shoes. There's like no bounce here.
Whoa! Maybe I'm better at jumping than I thought.
Stop that clown!
We supposed to go help him?
How did that advice go again? Ball at the fist, reach way back and assert yourself. Got it!
Remember, we have Super Slap enabled, so one hit will kill these characters instead of taking more. So we're following these stud trails, which, if anything, this highlights where the idea of stud trails should have always been, in the sense that it really should have always been a collection of like gold studs instead of blue studs. Alright. I'm confused here. There's just no bounciness. Yeah, holding A doesn't do anything. Let's just cheat our way here to this point. And it seems kind of obvious that the new people were going to struggle with that, because why else would they have opted for that? Now this is really, really far away from when the Joker's influence normally would have stopped, too. So they're breaking their own general rules.
Why does everyone try to break out during my shift?
So you could have just skipped basically most of this to this point, and then you've got to either fly or redo it to get to this point, which wouldn't it have just made more sense to teleport your characters closer? And fairly noticeably, they want you to have fights here, where the rest of the game really has not cared whether or not you've had a fight with enemies. And it's not really rewarding you much for fighting anyways. I guess there's a double jump ability this guy has. And then there's a whole slide effect, which that's really cool. Why didn't we use that a lot more?
Don't know why you didn't just give them to me along with the bouncy shoes. Or break me out for that matter. I guess it's best to just not question him on these things. Hey,
And then he can just dig.
Huh? What's this? A note? Let me see. What do you call a guy in an orange jumpsuit standing next to a bomb? Answer, Ronald. Wait, Ronald? That's me. Oh no!
Once again, the Crown Prince of Conundrums is successful in his endeavors.
Okay. You also have a weirdness there in that A, I can't really care about Ronald being blown up and seemingly killed because he's a bad guy, and B, I can't really feel great about being a bad guy and playing as a villain and then seeing another villain blown up. Well, we didn't go into Arkham to do that one puzzle, so I think we want to do that. Then I think we want to do that. What is this mission? Frankenstein fisticuffs. So apparently that is a boss fight, so we finally found the boss. So let's see if we can do the races, get this gold brick, and then call it an episode. If anything, we may be able to get everything in this Arkham Asylum area done. But I think this probably highlights just my general lack of interest in Arkham Asylum being a spooky-ish place. This makes it feel much more like a gothic church than a criminal insane asylum on its own island, which it's not in this case, or really, sorta is, but not really. When I think Arkham Asylum, I think the point here where you go in and you see a bunch of Batman villains, big names that you would recognize.
They have locked me in the office here. The computer to override it is in the room below me, but the whole system is in lockdown. If you can get in there, could you let me out?
I would have preferred.
I'm still doing top-notch work from in here. I really need to get out before the bosses come back. I mean, if I want to keep this job.
Yeah. What I would have preferred is a very large Arkham Asylum.
I've already had 3 breakouts this week, and there's kind of a full breakout policy at this place. Maybe if you get me out fast enough, I can still cover it up.
Yeah.
Hey, buddy, did the boss send you to get us out?
No. Some crazy green ladies tried to turn me into a plant earlier. I mean, what good would I be as a plant? Unless... were they gonna eat me? I'm sure I'd be a terrible salad. Either way, I'm sure glad those penguin fellas turned up and started fighting. Come to think of it, those penguin fellas were a little strange too. All black and white, waddling around the place. Oh, wait, I get it. Because penguins, right? Brilliant.
Yeah. There's a Arkham 1860, and we did see a level that had us around the Arkham 1860 underground Arkham. For which that is a new thing to me when I saw that in Arkham Origins. But yeah, ideally I would have just wanted to see a giant prison instead of the island map at all, and in that giant prison there could have been a prison cage for every single villain in the game, and then that would have been when you unlock the character, their prison cell opens up and they are free. It would kind of make a lot of sense for the entirety of the central map to be Arkham Asylum.
Well, would you look at that? Looks like we're your ticket out of there, Mr. Guard. Let's make a deal. We get you out, you wipe our files.
You would not be against my guard over. But I can't guard anyone from in here. Okay, you got a deal. Just promise you'll be good once you're out.
Oh,
This is interesting Lego doors. I'm not sure it means anything. Is this supposed to be... Like, I don't even know what this is. Is it supposed to be Harley's room? Okay. We'll switch over to the Joker and get the goons to work for us.
Need something?
Looks like we need a speedster.
Wait! I can't use this! Looks like the joke's on me. Mere child's play for someone with my far-reaching talents.
But you could have also done, certainly, too, is had somebody like the Reverse Flash totally destroy the nature of reality and merge Gotham and Smallville and Arkham Asylum and all of them into a whole new landmass. And then that would have let you have an open world that cut and pasted a lot of the open world designs of previous open world DC games. Of course, the reason why you really couldn't have done that is this is the first, well, this is kind of the last Lego DC game. It is also the first one to have a open world that would have really involved much of anything. Lego Batman 2 had a little bit of a Gotham open world, but it wasn't really that big. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. And so we're just going to click on this. Let's see. 1, 2, 3, and 4. And then 1 again. And then it took a while to register.
A lifesaver. I really owe you one. Please take this thing I found in the office. I think it was confiscated from an inmate, but who knows? The filing here is atrocious.
That...
I'll be taking this.
Let me just double check in the extras and make sure that there isn't some kind of silly face mode. Character token, demolition mode, fast interactions. I can see fast interactions potentially changing that mode, but no, I bet not. So I really do just have to assume that the voice acting, as far as the facial animations, has always been just a very simplistic loop of open mouth, closed mouth.
Chase my dream of being a shop assistant. I love holding all the sweatshirts. The colors are just so
We're up to 300 million or thereabout now. So I can go buy the score times 10 multiplier. And I don't think there's anything more that you can do in Arkham Asylum. Did that feel like Arkham Asylum to you? It didn't really to me. There's no, like, not a lot of prison cells, no interview rooms, no general assembly halls, no doctor's offices, if it is actually supposed to be an asylum. Now the Arkham Asylum game touches on a much bigger Arkham Asylum, being the entirety of an open world, and it does definitely touch on the idea of Arkham being a functional asylum for mentally disturbed people. Although, I would say it also goes in a weird direction in that they full-on say that there's a children's wing in Arkham Asylum, which the last thing I would want to see is that the Joker is being brought in to Arkham Asylum and just a few yards away is the children's wing. But yeah, almost certainly if there is going to be a mental asylum, there would be a children's section of that, maybe in a different building, maybe in a completely different place. I guess there is kind of a thought that if there are crazy supervillains in Gotham, there's probably crazy kids too. Character with glide ability. Okay, last time we tried to do one of these, it did not really work.
King of Atlantis.
We'll try again. If this is going to be a glide ability all the way down, I can probably pull this off. That being said, that seems like that was a tight glide. I wonder if maybe the micro movements and adjustments are the problem.
This is all going swimmingly.
Alright, we got that done, and I really have no interest in doing that again, so we'll leave it at that.
And with this axe, I will conduct my greatest act of villainy, deforestation. Bow before me, trees.
So heat wave.
Through the day you thought to battle with the lumberjack of Arkham Forest. Yield, or I will make this even more painful for you, wooden warrior. I'm serious. You will fall before me.
So I would have thought Swamp Thing would have shown up there, but we'll see.
Not looking quite so tough now, are you?
We help him chop the tree down and then it falls on him.
Revenge upon me?
Might not be green jewelry, still pretty cool.
Okay. Drive to the theme park. Riding out of the dark. Both of those requiring a motorcycle, which I mean, the Riddler's dragster is not really a motorcycle. It's so crazy. You would think that there would be a motorcycle vehicle, but apparently not. Apparently you have to find a motorcycle in the game. Does it really make any sense that Green Lantern would have a long leap like that? I don't really feel like it does.
I've heard whispers. I need you to...
So we'll just start
Good.
this mission again.
Don't come back until you have
a tree on my walk back this way and found a weird book. I had to look through the pages, but I couldn't understand it at all.
So that was one thing, and probably the right thing.
A lot of activity going on up at the old mill lately. I might go check it out.
That may be the next correct thing. Everybody else is over this way. Keith finally managed to get out from under the tree. Lol. I'm gonna stick it to shrubbery from now on. Another email. Pointless emails. Where is the person? Seems to indicate they would be right about here.
These woods sure are spooky. I can hear screaming sometimes, which makes me too afraid to go any further than this point.
I feel like it would make a lot of sense though if these 5 hints led to 5 different treasures. So when you had a default mission to talk to everybody, you weren't just getting dud responses for 3 out of the 5 interactions. Okay. Somebody is here somewhere. I guess it's worth saying that perhaps you wouldn't really call this environment dark as much as you would just say not very contrasty. Am I supposed to be talking to this cat? Nope.
In brightest day and blackest night, looks like someone's ready for a fight.
I wonder if I can actually talk to people when I've got like 5 stars on me. Let's see.
Hey! No, I haven't seen a book. Do you know the way out of here? I'm lost. I can't get home.
And I guess if you talk to people, that gives a good reason for time to cool down. And these cooldowns just happen, I guess. No matter whether you're fighting people, as long as you're not just committing more crime, it does seem like the 3 stars disappears pretty pretty quickly. Compared to like a GTA game where you have to, I suspect, do a lot
linked
more.
To arcane powers and ancient writings right here in this forest? Nope. I didn't see such an old book between that rock and a tree near the gravesite. Nope, not at all.
Okay. This is different music playing in the background.
Continue to waste my time and I'll show you my scream. Now, find that book! Have you found out anything?
Let's see. There's an unreadable book by a tree.
Promising. This could be the book I seek.
And then the other correct answer is definitely not a book. between a rock and tree near the graveyard. That seems like that's the right answer.
Those are a lot of details for someone who claims not to have seen the book. Suspicious.
So in that case, we...
Well then, with the information you have gathered, we should head out to the spot where you believe the book is. Do not let me down.
So we got the 2 answers, we didn't get any wrong answers, and it didn't give us any kind of achievement or anything, so... Oh man. So just uncontrollable characters. That's interesting that the pathfinding there had the character jump
There it is.
when
the
it got
book
stuck.
I have been searching for.
Which, that's an
I
idea.
can finally return this book to my father's collection.
And here we have an example of the camera trying to zoom in, but doing a
Or how long
kind of
it
poor
has taken
job
me to find this book.
doing the cinematic black bars at the top and bottom by cutting off the head of Banshee as a character.
I must go right away. I must not leave this any longer than I should. Thank you for your assistance in helping me.
And when you look at
fulfill
her
my
lips, it seems
now,
like the lip flaps are synced. So it definitely feels like half the time when it's a more important interaction with a more important character, you do get a lip flap sync, and then when it's an unimportant character, you don't. Oops, did not mean to purchase that guy. Let's see if Constantine can do anything here. Doesn't seem like there is anything you can do, and it doesn't seem like there's anything more to interact with her. So I'm really just assuming that the story instance was supposed to stop there, and then the marker should have just disappeared, and it didn't. Okay, so we have a race here. We have a race here. And then we need to just go figure out what a boss fight looks like. This would be the first boss fight. I imagine it doesn't look too much like anything. We're gonna, I assume, go down here and just fight him. Constantine spawning ahead of me. Yep. Definitely explain this giant area.
This place is not for you. No, how?
And he has only 4 hearts.
I shall not rest until I defeat you.
So this introduces an interesting idea. Let's see what kind of different attacks he has. This definitely could have been the way that the whole open world would have worked, is that there would have been areas of influence, circles, arenas that would have spawned like this. Even though you can run away, and so it's not like an invisible barrier. I think we've probably seen all of his moves at this point. 3 different types of attacks, that's fine. Particularly if you spent all of the game in the open world, or almost all the game in the open world, doing these kinds of boss fights very frequently, not to unlock characters. If you had to fight half of the characters in the game to unlock them, that would have been fine.
Saving the world and
finding cool stuff?
But it could also be, could have just been boss fights for the large characters, like Frankenstein, and even at that, we could have fought Clayface and a giant cyborg. Definitely would have given you more to do in this overall area. It's just to have like maybe a boss fight here, maybe a boss fight here, boss fight here, boss fight here, each one unlocking after you've done one or two other quests first. He spawned in vehicles. Still spawned in. And this whole area now has an invisible wall on it, and there's nothing spawned in there. My only other thought is that maybe we could get a motorcycle over here. Alright. So that jump does work. This will take me to Amusement Mile, I assume. So that, I think, fixes potentially this race. So we could clear off this whole area. And is it faster to fast travel, or would it be faster just to turn around and take the vehicle back? I think it's probably faster to take the vehicle back. And fairly consistently now the episodes are getting longer as we try to clean up an entire area. It doesn't feel like we're accomplishing a lot though. Inherently, studs can't be that valuable as far as a collection thing. So getting 100 million studs only means a little. Not lose too much momentum here. I may not win this race. This one's got a lot sharper turns.
And finding cool stuff? This day hasn't been all bad.
So there we have two now. Motorcycles unlocked.
I'll definitely be able to buy my own place then.
it's kind of a little bit of a different experience riding a motorcycle throughout Metropolis, but I wouldn't say it's that big of a difference. And for the last time, we will go to Star Labs and we'll get that score times 10 multiplier. Which will be the last of the red bricks to purchase. Studs times 10, 250 million. Purchase that. And then come over to the extras and turn it on for 3,840 multiplier. So we're at like 72 million just walking around this area. You'll start to see we get millions very quickly. And this is the point usually in a Lego game where things just stop mattering as far as studs. Just walking around normally with attract studs on will get me up into the billions. And it's been an extremely long time since there's been a Lego game that has had a maximum amount of studs that you can collect, so you can easily make the assumption that that is the case here too. I suppose we'll rotate this and place. I suppose we're supposed to do each of these jumps when we see them. So we'll do that. That was 2 of the remaining phone booths to break. And I believe the 1 remaining phone booth, through the hint, said it was near Star Labs. And we've been all around Star Labs, so I would suspect it's probably higher up. Although, kind of would make sense for the phone booth to not be high up. Let's just drop down. That's not a phone booth. No phone booth there. No phone booth so far. Are we at Star Labs or? No, we aren't. Star Labs is over here. This way. Okay. Those aren't phone booths, those are just phones. There it is.
Saving the world and finding cool stuff? This day hasn't been all bad.
So that's the end of that challenge. As far as Roundup Runaway, Harkness won't even make it past the driveway. She'll be easy to round up. Wait, Reynolds wasn't here for trying to prove ghosts are real. They aren't real. We drive past the super haunted place every day. Okay. So that's one to do while we're at it. And then I think the rest of these probably aren't in that main area of Arkham Asylum. So we'll just fast travel this way. So they said Harkness won't make it past the driveway. So, and I assume Harkness is some recognizable character. There's not really a lot of reasons to purchase characters or vehicles yet, so we won't bump the percentage of unlocks up as quickly as we could. Okay. So we're looking just around this area. And we could redo that race, but no reason for to. Right, so we're looking for where a character could be. There's a lot of room for the character to be hiding.
I was kind of hoping to avoid a fight.
There she is.
Oh well.
And then haunted place with ghosts. So, they say they drive past it every day, which would imply it's probably this area. But I'm not 100% sure what I'm looking for. Anything Lego you can break, I guess you should break, but I think we're probably looking for something that's wider than your standard Lego assembly of items. Something wide enough to have a minifig in it. Well, let's assume here that it isn't actually the graveyard they're talking about, but instead it's, say, this building here. Which I can't just set a random marker to. I'm just gonna have to hope I can fly in the right directions. Creepy sound effects. This definitely does not feel very Lego-y. Though. Like, just an entire building that has very little Lego to it, and oh, here's yet another thing we can put a picture in. Incredibly dark picture. So we found 3 of those so far. Let's check the challenge again. So Reynolds was here trying to prove ghosts are real. They are real. We drive past that super haunted place every day. So, super haunted house in Arkham. Constantine has some magical house that teleports him places. I don't know, is it called the House of 1,000 Doors or something like that? I don't think that's what this is supposed to be a connection to, however. I mean, you've got a whole graveyard here that also would feed into haunted. I think this probably highlights where these challenges can go wrong really quickly. Is we may very easily get the top 10% of all the challenges and collectibles, or the top 90% of all the challenges and collectibles in this game, and then the last 10% might prove to be way more difficult. And we're not going to get an indicator, more than likely, of anything. Okay. So I think we'll just assume that if we follow the road up and around here, that will maybe keep us close enough to where this last character is. There's basically only 2 roads in this whole subsection of the map. And yeah, you can definitely feel how this whole section could have been left on the cutting room floor and you wouldn't have missed out on too much. I would think this graveyard might be a good place to investigate further. And I think definitely don't do that. That staying on the ground might make a lot of sense. I don't think this split is the right direction. Yep. Any one of these could be a haunted place, though, and you are just driving past both the cemetery and the Arkham. I would say the cemetery probably is the thing they're talking about, though. Because that would make a little bit more sense. And I seriously doubt I'm supposed to be listening to sound effects. Of course, this haunted shack could also... This could be a haunted shack as much as anything else. How many studs are we up to now? 310 million, so we're back to where we were before. If I went and just got this blue stud, that's like 4 million. That purple stud is like 50 million. That was somewhat close. I don't think I'm on the right road. This would have been the right road. I can only look so far in every direction. But I am noticing there was yet another candy from a baby, and so there must be a candy from a baby in like every area. And that's just Arkham.
In brightest day, in blackest night, looks like someone's ready for a fight.
See, this is what we're looking for, is probably that.
Where'd he go? He's supposed to be driving us now!
Unless this windmill is supposed to be the haunted place. Did we find a character hiding around the windmill? If we did, if we had already found one and then we found them again, that would be a good indicator we're in the wrong place.
Where'd he go? He's supposed to be driving us now! Driver right now!
We're going too long into this episode. See, everything would have been despawned now in this instance. So it may just turn out to be a case where I need to potentially look at a walkthrough, because these hints don't seem like they're going to be good enough. Or I'm potentially just going to spend a lot of extra time trying to get the last few collectibles. It's kind of obvious that there's stuff here.
I don't know. I thought he was reliable. He's the replacement driver right now.
Each of these quests also give you a gold brick, so they're not randomly spawning as far as being a getaway driver. Guide studs now are potentially going to pay off enough to justify doing everything. I have had a thought that the haunted house in Amusement Mile might make some sense as where the last runaway guy would be, but that would put him in a very different position.
Boss wants his park open for business again, so we gotta get rid of this barricade. So, how are we gonna get it down? Wait, you didn't bring the dynamite? I told you you had one job!
Maybe there's something else around here we could use.
I'm not sure I parked it in the right place. Yeah, I didn't get a gold brick or unlock a vehicle for that. So I don't know if that's an actual challenge that you need to do, or if that is just something that infinitely spawns to push you into moving to another area. Now in the next episode we can focus in on this area and get all the collectibles here. We can ride this monorail, which is the last one that we need to do. And then that would, for the most part, clear the left side of the map. We've cleared, for the most part, the entirety of the top side of the map, with the exception of this challenge. And I was going to try and leave Central Gotham as the last thing we do, so if we get all of Amusement Mile done, maybe we'll then go do the swamp, or probably it'd be smarter to do Ace Chemical and then do the swamp in its own episode. As far as other challenges, I'm thinking most of these are going to explain themselves. Like irritating incisors almost certainly are an Amusement Mile. And let's see, we will just have to deal with Runaway Roundup later. Potent plants may be all over the place, and we may not be really doing a great job with that challenge. Hug Hunter looks like it may be another plant challenge. Bowtie Bandit seems like it's all over the map. File Finder is obviously all over the map. So we very possibly are just going to have to go around in circles multiple times. And then just one modest misdemeanor. But I have no idea where I'm supposed to destroy these recycling bins. Maybe I just have to destroy any recycling bins anywhere that I can find. Transit Tycoon is the monorail. Game Guru looks like it's in Apocalypse as a challenge, or at least some of it is. And then Golden Graffiti I think is probably all over the map. So we still have a decent amount of overworld content to play. We're up to 54.6%. We're now at 108 out of 224 gold bricks, 117 out of 270 characters. We've done 5 out of 9 statues, and I don't know if we've bumped up the number as far as the spray painting and graffitiing. As far as characters that could be purchased, I think we got a decent amount of new characters that turn from being locked with an X to being purchasable with this. It does just occur to me though, we could add some extra challenge to ourselves when we go back and do the free play levels by purchasing all of the characters first. Then we would have potentially a random group of characters to play with. So I might pull the trigger and do that when we get back to doing the free play levels. Vehicles, we unlocked a couple, but obviously there's more races that need to be done to unlock all of these vehicles. I could probably purchase all the vehicles now. They could be purchased for no real loss. Let's see. Let's go ahead and do that, and just that way we don't end up spending 20 minutes just pressing A in the menu. Since there are no story mode levels that actually have you use vehicles, so this is something that's going to work out just fine. That being said, some of the silhouettes look almost exactly the same as the non-silhouette version, so I think I've purchased everything that can be purchased here. Nope, missed one. It's a little shocking though, if you count the number of X's, it looks like there's somewhere around 14 or 15 remaining races in the whole game. And I wouldn't have really thought that there was 14 or 15 races in the game, but maybe some more show up. But then there is also Apocalypse, so I'm not looking at Apocalypse and considering that either. As far as the map is concerned, we're making better progress towards 57% of the gold bricks on Earth and 50% of the missions completed, 51 races finished, 51% of races, 62% of monuments vandalized, and 25% of bosses defeated, which that does tell me then there's probably a boss in this section, a boss in probably Gotham, a boss in Metropolis, a boss in the swamp, and then a boss in Smallville. That would maybe not even a boss in Smallville, come to think of it, because we would need 3 bosses, so it would be 1, 2, 3, or Metropolis doesn't have a boss and it's in Smallville, or they're considering Metropolis and Smallville as one area, which is also somewhat believable. Yeah, and that didn't really bump us up as much as I thought it might. We're still at 56.2% as far as the unlocks go. 129 of 270 characters. So yeah, still a lot of progress needed to be done, and still slow going around this open world. I overall just kind of have this feeling that it really feels like if the open world was a lot flatter and had a lot less verticality to it and had more things happening every 20 steps, you would collect something of importance that was a simple action. I would appreciate that. I feel like that's what Lego Marvel Superheroes 1 did really well. Although in fairness, Lego Marvel Superheroes did that with their Manhattan, New York level in the first game, and then really didn't do that in its sequels. Anyways, we're almost at 2 hours for this episode, so that's going to be it for this recording. As always, I ask you to like, share, subscribe, comment, and watch every second of my videos. If you want a friend or follow me on any social media sites, there's a whole bunch of links down below. Thank you for watching. Have a good evening.